You're listening to Cash and Sass. I'm Lisa Marie, your go-to gal for all things money. As the Sassy Wealth Queen and the brains behind the Sassy Wealth Coach, I'm here to take you on a thrilling ride from the financial chaos to sassy and sexy money. Welcome back, my sassy friend, to another episode of Cash and Sass. I'm Lisa Marie, the Sassy Wealth Queen and the brains behind the Sassy Wealth Coach and this podcast. And today with me, I have Jamie Lima. Is that right? Is that how? I hope I said that right. I normally ask. After going through a tremendously expensive and emotionally draining divorce in 2017, he launched Allegiant Divorce Solutions as a sister company to his financial planning firm, Woodson Wealth Management, in early 2023. He recognized the challenges that people face as you decide how to handle your finances relating to divorce. And so looking back, there were mistakes that he'd made during his own divorce that could have been avoided, and if he'd had the support of a certified divorce financial analyst. Armed with this knowledge and almost 20 years of financial planning experience, he is dedicated to helping his clients navigate the complex aspects of divorce and gain a fair settlement with much less stress. Welcome to the show. And I'm going to say, I know just from society and friends and family, divorce can be very stressful. And so I'm sure having something in place to help know what to navigate in and out will help. And of course, we all know why we're here, because we're going to talk all things money and mindset shift and wealth management and all of those things. And so before we went live here, one of the things I was talking to you about was the experience that you had early on and how that affected your mindset shift or affected your mindset, your money management, all those things. Can you tell us a little bit about that and then we can talk about how, the shifts you made?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as you were doing the intro here, I really feel like there are three main things that have happened in my life so far that have really created this trajectory that I've been on, so to speak. And, the first is when I was very young, I was 7 or 8 years old or so, that my parents went through a divorce, and they were divorced very early on, and money was always an issue, right? My dad worked 2 jobs, my mom worked multiple jobs, and I really could tell even at an early age that wow, this is heavy, right? And it put some pressure on me and even some stress on me, even though I was a young boy. And I remember vividly where I thinking at that time, like, if I ever have children one day, I want to ensure that they're never going to have the same level of stress and have these same experiences that I've had, right? And I don't know why I had that level of maturity at that point. Who knows? I was very, very young, but I remember distinctly thinking that to myself. And I feel like that's what really propelled me into the world of finance as I got older. I wasn't, and I don't want to, give you the wrong impression here, because I did not do very well in high school, and I goofed around a lot. But once I got into college, I straightened myself out, and I took things a little bit more seriously. But I had always wanted to have a focus on finance, probably because of those early experiences of just really, maybe gravitating to the thing that you don't have. Right? We didn't have any money, and that's just what I tend to gravitate to. And now I'm in being in the world of finance has put me in a position where, and if financial planning has put me in a position where I now help my clients avoid the same struggles and the stresses. Right. So I think that was the first thing. And then I spent about, 10 or 15 years in this career, and I was at some big name firms along the way, many that you would recognize if I name them. And sometime after my divorce in 2017, which I'll come back to here in a second, but right around the time of the pandemic striking, late 2019, early 2020, I was with this big name firm, and I was recruited away by a smaller company here locally, still in the financial planning realm, but definitely a lot smaller than the big name company that I was with. And it took me about 6 months to actually make the decision. I did a ton of research, and I think I did a really good job of negotiating with the new companies on. And my job there was going to be multifaceted. I was going to do some financial planning. I was going to be, coaching and training some of the advisors on the team, and I was going to be doing things like webinars and seminars and things of that nature, try to generate more business. within 6 weeks of my tenure there, they completely changed the game on me. First off, they cut my salary by 60%. Right? 60%. Took a 60% haircut on my salary. And they basically told me that they don't want me to do any of these other things. All they wanted me to do was try to work and steal my clients from the other company that I was with. It set me back so much financially, and I just couldn't do it. There was no way that I could do this work and do it ethically for this company. So I decided I was going to launch my own wealth management company at that time and walk away from that opportunity, or that challenge, I should say. Unfortunately, that left me with zero income, zero revenue, and zero clients. So even so, I started my own wealth management company, and we've grown exponentially since. We've put one foot in front of the other, and one client at a time, and we built the firm over the last 4 years, where now I have other advisors working for me. I have a relationship manager who helps us out, so on. We've been growing. We have clients all over the country, so it's been a great experience. So that's the second thing. And then I think the third thing that we can talk about too is how my divorce in 2017 really propelled me into wanting to do financial planning for people going through divorce, and really making sure that they get through their divorce without leaving cash on the table, without making financial mistakes along the way, and making sure that they get their fair share. My divorce in 2017 was very ugly, very expensive, not of my own doing, but that's just how it was. And now I have an opportunity, because of all the experience that I've had, to help people from a financial planning perspective and also help them through their divorce. So I know that was a long-winded answer to the question, but as I was thinking through, I think there's three things that really propelled me into where I am today.
Well, let's dive in first with the divorce, because I think that there are, as much as I think this is a subject people don't like to talk about, it is something that does happen. And so I think it's important. And I believe that if you are making sure that you're not leaving money on the table and you're having these money conversations, which again, money shouldn't be a taboo conversation. It should be something we're talking about. And I think part of the problem that why it becomes such a pain, especially in a situation like that, is because we don't know how to talk about it. When we grow up, we're not supposed to talk about it. So then when it needs to be talked about, all that comes up is all the anger and frustration and, the scare, the fear and whatever. So can you share just a little bit of the vulnerability of what you went through and what you experienced from that?
Well, there's a lot. The first thing I think my experience taught me is, I was in the world of finance for a very long time leading up to this, so I thought I had it all figured out. And even I made mistakes on my own divorce. One of the biggest mistakes I made was trying to rush the process just to get it over with. And I see this happen with clients that I work with today, where when you're paying an attorney and because they just keep taking your money and they're probably not doing a lot of work for you, or it seems that they're not doing a lot of work for you, and they're trying to help you, get through the legal side of things, and you just keep having to write a check to that attorney. It's very easy to say, just get me out of this. I want it over with. Where do I sign and move on? And that can jam you up pretty significantly. And it's not going to be and you can make mistakes doing that will mess you up for the next 5, 10, 20 years of your life. Right. And so I think one of the biggest takeaways is that even though it's painful, and even though it's an emotional, sometimes it's very emotional and it's very stressful, and you have other things you want to think about, and there's kids involved and so on, you can't rush the process, because if you do, you can make some pretty significant financial mistakes along the way. And I think secondarily,
what do you suggest?
No, go ahead.
Sorry. What do you suggest for people then that may find themselves in this situation, and money needs to be a conversation they're talking about, or, they're going through this thing and they're having to have these conversations, like you're saying, not leave money on the table, right? How do you suggest it be approached so that things aren't rushed? And I think that the reason why I'm asking this is because I also think this can also pertain to business. I'm going to have a thing with this. because even if you're not in this position and you are a business and say, for example, you find yourself sued or whatever, and I can speak from experience, your first thing is, okay, do whatever. I just make them go away. You don't want to pay. And then you go, now you're tired of paying the attorney. You just want that person to go away. So, okay, just pay them. And sometimes we react instead of making sure or letting the attorney help make sure they're protecting us in that process. And then you can end up in a lot of trouble, and meaning it hurts you for years to come, like you're talking about. So I think it's twofold, not just divorce, but also in business. When we find ourselves in this type of situation. And as my coach says, if you have a successful business, at some point in time, you are going to have someone come after you. That is just the way it works. Whether it's a client who's not happy, whether you did something wrong or not, whatever that may be, something's going to happen. And I want to be able to make it twofold, which is why I'm asking. So, what in someone's in this situation, what do you suggest for them to be able to take that step back and make sure it's not being rushed?
It's very difficult. It's very difficult. But you mentioned you're a business coach. One of the things that I wish I would have done during my divorce is hire a divorce coach. I had no idea that these people existed. I had no idea that divorce coaches and all these, all these support people were out here. One of the things that I do, and one of the things I recommend to all of our clients, and I say this on social media, I say it in my own podcast. You want to create team you. When you decide that you're going to get a divorce, you need to create team you. That's your family and friends who are very well in tune with the situation and are on your side and there to support you and there to pick you up when you've fallen down, because you will. A divorce coach can help you, or even a divorce coach, therapist. Most of them cross the boundaries of both realms. They can help you handle the emotional aspects of things and also understand the process. They can help you understand from filing the documents to going through mediation to court appearances and so on and so forth, and helping you understand what that's all going to feel like, so it's not a surprise. Because going through family court, the legal system is foreign to so many of us, and it creates a ton of anxiety. And then I mentioned the attorney. If you have an attorney and you think you're going to need an attorney, I wouldn't recommend them being the first call. I would recommend them being, a call that maybe later on in the process, or at least, maybe in the shortly after the process has begun. If you think you're going to need legal help, I would recommend an attorney. And then, of course, I'm biased, but I feel like having someone like myself help you handle the financial aspects of things is going to be ideal. So you're creating that team environment. You're putting people around you that are going to support you and are specialists in all these areas. And that will help you. It may sound counterintuitive to have to hire all these people through this process, but I promise you, if you have this financial specialist, the legal specialist, and the psychological specialist working together to help you navigate the decisions that you're going to have to make, I feel like you're going to have a much more positive outcome and probably a more positive experience all the way around. And they're going to help you make sure that you don't make rash decisions.
Right. And and on the business side, that's where I'm going to say is, the first thing that I did is I reached out to an attorney, because you want to make sure that you are protected. You don't want to react. And I think that's the key, is like we immediately want to react. And instead what we need to do is say, okay, who makes, like you said, who's going to be your team you? And my when it's business, I went to two people. It was my coach, who referred me to the attorney, and my attorney, and so I had a coach to help me with certain sides, and I had someone to protect my interest, right? Because there's going to be emotional stuff going on, and people say, oh, I'll just step back. No, you won't. If you really truly care, no, you won't, because it will affect you, and rightfully so. And when you're talking personally in divorce, we can't say it doesn't affect us, because we're human, we have emotions, and we as humans tend to react with those instead of taking a step back. Our first thought is to react, right? How do you help your clients? I think that's my question, because I think how do you, and having the certification that you have, having that certification with the financial, how are you able to, that's it was certified divorce financial analyst. So being the financial analyst, what exactly is it that you do that actually helps your client navigate these certain things when it comes to their money? Because, of course, they're going to be, way I see it is kind of like me. I'm a CFO and a wealth coach. So I combine the two. And what I tell my clients is a lot of times they're so close in on it, they can't see the things. And I can come from the outside and literally look in their accounts and look at all their stuff. And I can put all these pieces of the puzzle together for them. In a sense, is that what you do?
To some extent, yeah. The very first exercise we ask all of our clients to go through is it's a not a very long exercise, but I think it's very super helpful, is we create what's called a My Priorities worksheet. We want to understand what your priorities are. So if you were my client, we would sit down and there's in 3 key areas, right? So it's related to the children, the marital home, which is usually the hot button, and then some of the other items, right? So it's kind of a miscellaneous category. And what we want to understand related to each of those particular categories and some of the miscellaneous things that are come about, we want to understand what your priorities are. And just the exercise of taking a pen and writing that down, whether that's a 5-minute exercise or a 5-hour exercise of writing down in every one of those categories, like my priority is I want to make sure the kids go to the best schools. I want to make sure that their college is paid for. I want to make sure that their medical needs and their health benefits and things of that nature are all covered when the divorce is settled. We'll have you jot those things down in each of those categories. We also want you to go through and spend some time understanding and writing down what the other side's priorities are. Okay. So now, not only have we grounded you in the moment and put you in a position where you're like, okay, I just need to pause and take a beat and think through, it gives us a roadmap, and that becomes our true north when it's related to the goals and objectives that you have and the plan we're going to put in place for you. So probably like you do in your own engagements, it's, you meet with the client, you get an understanding of what their struggles are, what they want their future vision of the business to look like. And then you can put a roadmap together to help them get there, right? That's what we're doing.
And that's exactly what I do. I was about to say is with the businesses, with my clients, their entrepreneurs or businesses, that's exactly what I do. Is I'll look at their situation. We will look at their money and see exactly what's going on with it. And then I get an idea, okay, where are you struggling? What are your goals? What is the direction you want to go in? What are your desires? What do you want? Like you're saying, I get them grounded and I tell them, it does not matter how big or how small, right? At this moment, I need you centered on what exactly it is you want, because then we can put that, like you said, it's our true north. That's when you can put that roadmap together to help you get there. And that's why I asked, because I think it's important for the listeners to understand that this is the reason why money, knowing our numbers and knowing what's going on with our money is so important. This is one of the reasons why money shouldn't be a taboo subject, because in a situation like this, it's gonna have to be talked about. You don't have a choice, right? And having someone be able to, who is from here while you're in it, be able to help you get grounded and see, and then help get you in the direction that you want to go in. Whereas without someone, you basically are spinning in circles, and the only thing that's happening is smoke is coming out of everybody's heads because they're they're yelling and screaming and, they're infuriated. And again, it's all the emotions, right? Because we have to be able to take some of the emotions out. And that's whether it's in business or personal. When we're so emotionally in it and we're struggling emotionally in it with the money, it's hard for us to see certain things. And so my invitation to all of you that are listening is, if you are in a situation or if you know someone's in a situation, is to, hey, it doesn't hurt to talk to someone and see if they can help you. Okay. That's my biggest, huge advice. And the second thing is, if it's your business, again, whether it's me or someone else, talk to somebody, because again, it doesn't hurt. I'm pretty sure you probably have the testimonials and all that you've been able to help navigate them from one extreme and get them to where it's at least a more peaceful transition than it normally would have been, because now they can see, okay, this is how we can get there, right?
Absolutely. We work with some people that they're in a pretty bad situation. And I'm just I'll put this out there, and this is nothing against men, being one of them, but the reality is that about 99% of the clients that we work with are women, mostly stay-at-home moms, mostly the ones that have not had they haven't had their hands on in the financial role. They haven't been the CFO of the home, right? They've stayed at home, they've taken care of the kids while the husband worked. Not being sexist here, that's just the majority of the cases that we work on, that's exactly how it's unfolded. And we have some of them that we're dealing with things like financial abuse. They're dealing with domestic violence. I have a gal I'm working with right now who's living in a shelter. There's just some very, very challenging situations out there. And even those people who are struggling to make it recognize the value that working with somebody like myself and other members of my team in this particular role, there's a lot of value there, because they may not have the money to be able to hire an attorney, but they can come in. We're significantly less expensive than an attorney. Our hourly rate is about half of what attorneys charge, and our retainer is a third of what most attorneys charge. And we can be there to support them and help them make good financial decisions to put them on a path moving forward that's going to hopefully improve their lives. And we just have to figure out how to help them through the legal side, which there's a lot of self-help organizations out there and pro bono companies that will do that work for them. It's just very sad, and that why this is why I do the work that I do. I was raised effectively by a single mother. My dad, wasn't around a lot. He was around, but he wasn't around a lot. So my mom had to carry that burden, and he was off working 2 jobs and struggling to keep a roof over our heads while she was doing that. And I have a soft spot in my heart for women that are going through this. And we're just doing our best to try to help them all. Unfortunately, I'm only one person.
Well, I think it's really important too. This is one of the reasons why I'm so passionate and on such a mission with my podcast, because whether you need to or not, I want women to be able to stand on their own 2 feet and be empowered by money. And when you've, again, and I'm going to say this, if you're a stay-at-home mom, honey, you work harder than anybody in this entire world. And I don't care what anyone else says. I'm a mom of 2 kids, and I've not been a stay-at-home mom because I worked in corporate for years before I started my business, before I got let go and started my business. And I know without a doubt that the work that, stay-at-home moms do is not, I know the work as a mom is nonstop. What we literally, there's no days off, and a stay-at-home mom is even more so. And I think it's really, really important for us to realize that we need to have these money conversations. Women especially need to understand what's going on with money, be educated, and make sure that we're educating our children so that if something ever was to happen, they've got the knowledge and the power to be empowered by their money. Because the only way to stop the scarcity mindset and that lack mindset and be empowered by our money is for us to do something now and be able to pass it on generation to generation. I don't wish any of what your clients are going through on anybody, and I'm very thankful that there is someone out there like you that can help them and then be able to feel like they've got support. Because I also know my mom was a single mom, and my father was hardly ever around, and I know firsthand that was back in the day before they actually went after the fathers for the stuff, and they do now more so than they did back then. But that was in the day where they really didn't do that, and so and she again, money wasn't a conversation, so she didn't know how to do it. So she was working long hours, knee deep, trying to keep a roof over our heads, those kind of things. Mm-hmm. So I really think that if you get anything out of this, one, it's just don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to lean in for help. I know how hard it can be to say, hey, I need help, or ask for, to see if someone can help you. And I also know how empowering it can be to know you have help. You have a free offer for our listeners, and I would like you to let us know what that is, so that we can share it with them.
Absolutely. One of the and by the way, I could not agree more with what you just said there. I've been doing this work almost 20 years now. There have been so many times when somebody comes into my office to do a quarterly review or an annual review on their portfolio or whatever it is, and they come in and it's mainly the guy, mainly the dude, right? And well, okay, where's the missus? Well, she's home, and little Jody had soccer practice today, and there's a ballet thing going. Like, okay, like if that's you, I get it. And there's a lot of spinning plates, there's a lot going on, but literally what you just said is the most amazing thing ever, because in this day and age, there is no reason why you can't just get a little bit of education on how things work. You should know how to log into your bank accounts, your brokerage accounts. You should know what's in your husband's 401k plan. Does he have a pension? Does he not have a pension? What are the benefits that are associated with the work that he has? It doesn't take there's not a lot of heavy lifting to be able to get that information. And if he passes away tomorrow, you need to be able to prepare today to pick up the ball and run with it, because the kids need you to do that. So you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not listening to what we're saying today. So I appreciate you bringing that up in this conversation. But to answer your question about the free resources on our website, and I'm sure you're going to put the links up and everything else, but on the website, there's a page called free resources. So you go to the website, there's a resources page there. On that page, there are a number of documents that you're going to need if you feel like you're going to be on the precipice of divorce. There are worksheets. There's the My Priorities worksheets on there. Some information about how to like retirement accounts and how to divide those up and all that. All the stuff that you're going to need in order to have a successful divorce, if there's such a thing. We don't take email addresses. You don't have to sign up for anything. We're not going to put you on our newsletter list and spam you. We're not weird like that. You can literally go download the documents and move on with your life. They're all free. They're all available there. It's all the stuff that you're going to need if you're going through this right now. So have at it. We'll never know you visited. It's all confidential. Just go for it. And then secondarily, we started a Facebook group called Preparing Financially for Divorce, which has gained a lot of momentum over the course of the last couple months. We started with basically zero. We're at like 500 or 600 different members now. And I'll share tips and tricks, things that I think are important, articles, other resources. There's a bunch of videos on there and so on. Again, you can join as an anonymous member. Nobody's going to know you're there. I'm not really sure how Facebook works and what their privacy is, but it's above my pay grade. But if some of that stuff would be helpful, join us there too. We're not going to take first name, last name, email there either. But so that's another resource people can leverage for free.
Awesome. I will get that email or the Facebook, and I'll make sure I also put it in the show notes. My sassy listener, the biggest thing I want you to take away from this is just the importance of knowing what the hell is going on with your money. Know the like you said, the being able to log in. I can't stress how often I will ask someone, well, how much is spent on this or how much is spent on that? And the answer is, I don't know. Or they'll look at me with like they got caught with deer in their headlights. It can seem scary. And I'm going to tell you again that the more information you have, the more power and more empowered you're going to be, and the more empowered you're going to feel. There were years and years and years I didn't know what the hell's going on with money, or I tried. And I didn't have a good relationship with money because, again, it generation to generation. And then one day, I said enough's enough, and I changed that relationship with money. Money doesn't have to be scary. Okay, that's the other thing, and especially if you are going through like a separation or a divorce, that can be scary in itself. Money doesn't need to be. So why add to it? Having some of that information and then having someone be able to help you, I think is just insurmountable. I don't know. I can picture it being relief off of shoulders, weight off of shoulders. So not relief off, weight off of shoulders. Didn't say that correctly the first time. And so I invite you to really, really, one, he just gave you like a whole list of freebies there on there that you don't have to go and put your email address in. And you can stay anonymous, and there's the Facebook group. And then again, like I said, if it's your business and you're finding yourself in a situation, make sure you're not reacting without having someone to protect your interests. This is just so, so important. Ian, thank you very much for being here. I think that, sometimes money is not a fun subject, and sometimes it's more an informational and, hey, don't get caught, in a bad situation. And if you do, this is what we can do, and this is how it can be navigated. And I think those are also really important, because you're going to find yourself start doubting about money, and you're going to find yourself having these beliefs, and and having someone help you navigate that will also hopefully help navigate those beliefs, so that you don't believe money is bad, because money's not. It's energy, and it's a tool, and the more information you have, the better you're going to be. Thank you again for being on here. I appreciate you, my sassy listener. Until next time, remember to stay sassy. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us this week on Cash and Sass. Check us out on social media and on our website at www.thesassywealthcoach.com, where you can download my free Money Story Start Guide. The website again is www.thesassywealthcoach.com. And as always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode, and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh content. And remember, yes, it is possible to have sassy and sexy money. See you next week.